The Moto Razr Plus 2024 after a week now of use. I've tried to do this video a few times now. It's really tough to wrap my head around this device because if you read stuff leading up to its release, you'd think it was a wholesale departure from last year's version. Are there improvements from last year's model? Absolutely. Did that lead to a completely new experience for this year's model? No. So if you used last year's, if you have last year's, go ahead and hang on to it. You might even consider picking up last year's at a discount if you'd want. But there are some things you're going to like about this year's model. And this year's model is once again an excellent phone and probably, depending on your criteria, will be the best flippable that you could buy in the United States. So while it's not the completely changed product that I think that we were kind of hyped up on, it didn't have to be. It was already really good. This one made it better. So now it's a little bit better. So there's lots to like here, especially for $900. It's not the blowout competition. We're going to have a video, separate video comparing the Flip 6 to the Razr Plus. It's not the blowout that it was last year. There were points of last year where I just didn't even like using my Flip 5. Not the case this year. I do like my Flip 6, and I do think there are some distinct advantages this year that the Flip 6 has over the Razr Plus. But this still holds the advantage in a lot of key areas that we'll discuss. Number one, the biggest thing you're going to notice is that outer display, 4-inch OLED display. Absolutely gorgeous. And the one thing that Moto does is the app thing. I can't overstate how nice and easy it is to use the apps right out of the box. I don't have to download GoodLock. I don't have to go into labs and settings and all this other stuff in order to unlock a full app experience on this display. If you have a display of this size and you can't get your apps working on it, then that's a problem for me. Especially, Samsung's had a year to work that out now. They've seen how it's worked up last year on the Moto Razr Plus. No excuse. So Moto still has a distinct advantage there. The outer display is significantly better on this device and is a pleasure to use. And now you get that extra real estate. Typing's great. You don't even bother when stuff is blocked by the cameras. You're not even bothered by it anymore because you have the extra space up here, and you can still use that for typing and scrolling and all the rest of it. You pull up Instagram, no issues whatsoever. You get a nice full experience. It's a full scroll. I don't feel like I'm missing that much. And what's great about that is if you could save that kind of battery life, if you could get that experience, that quick mindless scroll. I got 5 minutes. Let me scroll Facebook or something like that. If you could do that on the outer display. You save the inner display. You don't have to open it up. You save battery life. It kind of is like a disconnect device. You don't feel the need to waste, an hour on social media. You kind of get the flavor that you need, and you keep it pushing. So I think that's something that's a nice advantage this year of this new display. A lot of people have asked me about the hinge. The hinge is undoubtedly improved, okay? Is it as solid as the Flip 6 hinge and the Samsung hinge, even the Flip 5 hinge? No. It's still not to that category. But it is better than the Razr Plus 2023 hinge. It doesn't wobble, right? It doesn't wobble. It doesn't go side to side. It's not the tightest tolerance hinge in the world, but it is a little bit better and a little bit more solid than the hinge on the Razr Plus 2023, which if I did have a complaint about that device, it probably was a hinge felt a little flimsy. Now, it held up over time. I used that device. That was the Flip that I used probably all year long. Every time I had an event, every time there was a holiday, my SIM was in that in the 2023 Razr Plus, held up fine, no issues. So I don't know if that's a discouraging factor for you, but the hinge is better. But to me, it's still not on par with the Flip 6. But then again, didn't really have to be. They kind of have different philosophies on building hinges there. So those are the two main things that you could take away from that. Performance, yes, it is improved. You got the Snapdragon 8S Gen 3 in here. You got the 12 gigs of RAM. I'm a little less impressed by horsepower improvements when it comes to flippables because design and feel and experience seem to take precedent, seem to take priority over just raw horsepower on these devices. Because to me, if you're buying a Flip, you're buying it for the style and the experience and the compact form factor and all the rest. Because if you were spending that kind of money, $900 in this case, there are so many other options that you could get that offer better raw power, better displays, all the rest of it, more convenient form factors, depending on what, especially for gaming and stuff like that. It's tough for me to game on these plastic outer cover displays and all the rest of it. It's just a mess. So there are better options for you there. So you're already making the compromise in terms of performance and raw power and all the rest of it. How does it play in terms of the user experience and design? And I think with Android 14, Hello UI, Moto's done a really nice job with this. Between the outer display, which is nice, you kind of scroll through here. They even have these specific games and stuff like that you got that are outer screen specific games, but you got that, and then you got kind of the seamless integration going in here to this gorgeous 6.9-inch display. Really nice display again this year. Saturated, poppy. It's everything we used to love on the Samsung displays. Now they've gotten away from that. They've gone toward more of a natural tone to their displays. This one maintains it. Just a really nice, gorgeous display. But performance-wise, you're not going to complain, especially for what you're doing on a flip phone. Gaming, if you do want to do it, is just fine. Battery life has come around, thankfully. I was getting this kind of bizarre battery drain, like 20% overnight or something like that when I first started using it, which was alarming to me. That's calmed down. Now I'm getting kind of that 6.5, 7 hours of screen on time that everybody else seems to be getting with this. You get 45-watt charging. I believe that's what the number is here. It's turbo power, so that's pretty good. Tops off quickly. You get wireless charging here as well. You get the fancy design. You get the nice trim and all the rest of it. There are lots of things to like about this device. Now, do you want to take some negatives? A lot of people point to the camera. We'll throw up the shots. It's very similar to the Moto G stylus camera, that 50-megapixel main sensor. It's very similar to the Motorola Edge 2024, that sensor. Those are mid-range devices, so you might take a ding there. But Moto's really kind of, to me, at least sold out on the saturation. They want to give you an image that looks good on social media. They want to give you a point-and-shoot saturated, colory image, that poppy and all the rest of it, that you could just post on Instagram. It gets a double tap for the like, and then everybody's going about their business. They're not really concerned with the color science and the color accuracy and all the rest of it. So if that's you, okay, you're going to want to look elsewhere. Samsung, Pixel, something like that, even though they don't have a flippable. But those are the types of cameras and systems that you're going to look at. If you're just taking those quick shots for social media, for Facebook, for Instagram, for Twitter, all the rest of it, this will get you by. It's not as good as even the Flip 6 camera, I don't think. It's not as sharp. It gets a little soft. It gets a little blown out sometimes. But it'll absolutely get the job done. Now, a lot of people are going to say about, well, the ultra-wide instead of the telephoto and all the rest of it. I really don't get into that too much. If that's something that you're aware of, you need that ultra-wide lens, then you got to consider that. But otherwise, I think the camera system is very similar to other Motorola camera systems in the past year or so, couple years. Really good. Solid, not top of the line, never going to be top of the line, not going to have all that computational magic behind it, but it's going to be good enough to get the job done. So overall, if you know what you're getting, limited software support, right? You don't know when you're going to get your software support on this. It's supposed to get Android 15, all the rest of it. Who knows when? It might be next year. It probably is going to be next year that you see that. Bi-monthly updates, that might be 90 days, might be tri-monthly updates, whatever. There's going to be hiccups here in terms of updates, in terms of some other things, Moto support, all the rest of it. If you're a second-time flip buyer, if you're somebody who had the original Samsung Galaxy Flip, if you're somebody who's coming from a Flip 3 or something like that, and you want something stylish, you want something different, you want your outer display to be really useful, then you're going to pick up a Razr Plus. If you're a first-time flippable or foldable user, it's still a little bit harder of a recommendation. It's a more palatable price, $900. But it's still something that you got to kind of go in with your eyes open, right? If you're buying it based on style, design, usability of the outer display, you're going to pick up a Motorola. If you want durability, if you want reliability, if you want constant software updates and features and AI and all the rest of it, then this is not going to be your phone. But I contest that a lot of people who are buying a flippable are doing it for style, are doing it for the compact form factor, and are doing it to be able to use that outer display and then flip open the inner display when they need it. And for those purposes, the Moto Razr Plus is a very, very, very nice phone. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.